All right, today is May 29, 2025. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes Storage Special Interest Group. As a reminder, this meeting is public, recorded, and posted on YouTube. With that, let's go ahead and get started. You can find the link to the agenda doc in your calendar invite, so feel free to add items to the agenda, and we can come back to them after going over our 134 planning items. We are early in the 134 release. The cycle started on the 19th of May, and the next milestone is going to be the production readiness freeze on the 12th of June. If you have any features that are going into 134, remember that for this deadline, you need to get all your KEPs completed and PRR reviews completed by that date. You can follow that link for more details. And with that, I'm going to switch over to our spreadsheet and get status updates from folks working on items for 134. First up, we have recovering from resize failure, moving to GA in this release. Is Hemant on the call by any chance? Okay, anyone else have an update here?
I just know that he started working. He's updating the cap and fixing bugs.
Started working on the cap, it sounds like.
On the cap updates, yeah.
Updates, perfect. Awesome, thank you for that update, Jan. I'm going to mark this as started. Okay, next is volume group snapshot. It'll move to from V1 beta 1 to V1 beta 2. And any updates on this one? Looks like someone added update already. KEP update with V1 beta 2 API change submitted with update.
Yeah,
start info.
I did that. So the cap, with all the V1 beta 2 changes, those are there. The contents updated, it's been reviewed. But since those deadlines are coming, right? So I also update that with all the milestone information.
Perfect. Thank you, Shing. Next is CSI volume health. Consider moving it to beta this cycle. Let me change that. Where do we stand with this one?
So I think we're still kind of putting together a doc. I don't know if Sunny, do you have any update?
Yeah, no, I didn't get time to work on this.
Oh, okay. So we're not sure if we are ready to move to, So we're not sure if we're moving to beta yet this month. Because we need to put together the doc first and then see what we do.
I think what we can do is keep an eye on it as we approach the readiness freeze. After that, we can go ahead and either strike this or keep it if we end up completing the KEP.
Okay.
All right, thank you both for that update. Next is enable privilege containers for Windows to replace CSI proxy for Windows out of tree, targeting beta in 134. Last status update here was vSphere CSI driver started using CSI proxy v2. At least 2 drivers use v2, so it's ready to move from alpha to beta GA. Next step, Mauricio will update the KEP and review request. Any update on the KEP? Okay, I'm going to mark that as.
I think there's a meaningful update. I did get a chance to review the updated enhancement, and it looked good to me. The requirements make sense. And I think it just needs to be merged now.
Got it. So it sounds like KEP's already been updated and just needs to be get the final approval and merge.
Yep, that's correct.
Cool. Thank you, Eddie. Next is volume attribute class moving to GA this cycle. Any updates on this one?
Yeah, so I updated the PRR PR, and I will need SIG to review, and I also pinned the PR approver.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you for the update on that, Sunny. I'm going to mark that one as started as well. Next is CSI Sidecar All-in-One. Just designed the cycle. Anybody tackling this one? Looks like we've got a note here from Yingqi. Michelle left some comments. We'll fix our KEP based on these comments, okay? Next is Cozy overall move to V1 Alpha 2. Xing, looks like you already got to this one. KEP update submitted, waiting for reviews.
Right. I see that Blaine also added some notes in the meeting agenda, but I think he
Okay, we can come back to that.
attend the meeting. Yeah, but he just says that need reviews. He put the link there.
Got it. All right, we can skip over these. And then we have CSI Migration, Portworx, GA in 133. Keep this to track in-tree plugin removal and feature gate removal. Need to check if the release notes cover this. Is this active for 134 or this is tracking for 135?
I think we can't remove it yet. I believe it's maybe 1.36 to remove. I need to check that again. So I have not got a chance to check this one just to see
Okay.
if our release notes is up to date. Yeah, I have action item. Forgot about
That's
this.
good. Okay, we'll just keep the same status on this one. And I am going to reset these to not started. Okay, next one is always honor reclaim policy GA in 133. Keep this to track the feature gate removal. All right, with that, any updates on this one?
I think this is kind of similar. I think we, I don't know if we can remove it yet. I think we need to wait. So I'll check this one as well.
Okay, I'll go ahead and mark that one as cleared. All right, so next one is integrate CSI volume limits with autoscaler.
Yeah, I have opened a enhancement in for cluster autoscaler. I am working on a enhancement in this thing Kubernetes enhancement repository also.
Perfect.
Also, while I'm here, I can also provide update for the first item actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm opening PRs in Kubernetes to fix some minor issues and everything, but I'm yet to open I changed the milestone of the issue, but I have to formally update the KEP actually for targeting GA. So I'll do that this week.
Got
Today.
it. Okay. Thank you, Hemant. All right, with that, we can move to kubelet evented desired state of the world populator. For this one, targeting 134. Any updates here? Okay, let me mark that one as no update. Next is replication relationship.
Right, so this one we just started a discussion in the data protection working group. I think we need to collect use cases and just you put those information in your doc and just see how the replication relationship is established, how that's reconfigured, and things like that. I'm not Ben, if you want to add anything.
Perfect. And who's going to be driving this one? Is it going to be you or someone else?
Yes, I will be, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. We'll keep your name there then. Thank you, Shing. All right, next we have reduce attach latency. Any updates on this one from anyone?
I think for this one, we are not targeting for 1.34 anymore. Because we focus on the more like a GK internal improvement first.
Okay. So I think we can stop tracking this for now.
Yeah, but we revisit it next cycle.
Okay, so I'll put a note here to move to 135. And I will mark it as crosstab for now. All right, and last one we have here is node readiness gate. Any update on this one?
So no, Ajay, he was here in the last meeting, brought us to, oh, you're
Hi,
here.
I'm here.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
So yeah, I have an update. I talked with SIG scheduling and SIG node folks. It is provisionally accepted. The use case specifically, this would help for storage or like two where I think like Hemant is working on that, kept bringing visibility into storage or volume readiness at scheduling at cluster autoscaler level. I had a misc item today to discuss more into details on certain aspects that storage will be interested. But yeah, like this is in progress and still in target for 1.34. Hopefully we get this in shape and will be able to deliver for the storage use case.
Awesome. Thank you for that update.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we will switch back to the agenda. Actually, let me mark this as started. All right, we'll switch back to the agenda and we'll go through the remaining items here.
Oh, one question for Ajay. So that cap, the main owner is, the main SIG is SIG node, right?
Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
so I just want to make sure that because if you target alpha in 1.34, someone needs to add the leads opt-in. You probably need to pay SIG node to add that.
Got it. Okay. I will check back with the SIG leads
Okay.
meeting. Thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you.
Cool, good reminder, Shing. With that, let's switch over to this. So PRs that need attention. Sunny, you have one, VAC PRR.
Yes, so I need SIG storage, LGTM first, and then the PR reviewer will take a look.
Cool.
So last time, the previous discussion was that we need to make sure the Quilla change sits in one release, which it sits in 1.33, and then also as stress test, which just get merged in.
Michelle, Jan, do either of you have cycles for this?
I think previously it's Xing and Herman reviewed it, so
Okay.
maybe we want to keep the
I can,
same.
yeah, I can review it.
So there were like issues about like retry and things that we had. We want all of that fixed before we GA this, right? Sunny, like I
Yes.
remember, yeah, I remember like if you hit one of the, like I think if you change the BSC and it get deleted, it doesn't get retried, it just sits silently. So I think you know already those issues. So we should try and fix all of those.
Yeah, I think this is a recovery, right?
Not the recovery actually.
Is this the PR that is in review in the resizer repo, or are you talking about different issue?
No. There's Andrew has opened the issue actually that no volume modifier fail even emitted when target BSC does not exist. So that is one. Like let me link it here. So I noticed like some like issue that like if there's an error, it doesn't report properly what went wrong actually. So there are issues here. I'll just
Yeah, I think that was by design, like because we are just retrying it. So you're saying we should add some indicator in logs or event?
No, this is not the case of the fail with infeasible error. This is like
Yeah, the final.
that's not, this is not it. This is different error actually. We can talk offline. Though I linked the issue in the chat. And sorry, in the Google document. And Okay. I'll take a look.
Yeah, thank you, Hemant. So yeah, let's track that offline. Next one is from Blaine and Shing, CAP review for Cozy. Anything anybody wants to comment on here?
Oh, just to, I think Blaine added this one, just remind people to review. So Saad, if you can help review this, because this is the Cozy API changes. You're familiar with this.
Sure, yeah, I can take a note to do that. Cool. Next up is design review from Sunny.
Yeah, this is for the recovery scenarios that we want to support, and I just listed the resolution in the doc, and also I have a PR out.
Who's the right person to review this?
I think Shingo, Herman, and then Calorie and Andrew.
So there was an outstanding issue about like the PVC spec BSc name cannot be null, and I see a long discussion on that.
Yeah, like it's listed in the doc.
Okay.
Like it's really short. It's like one page and a half.
Okay.
Amat, would you be able to help take a look at this one?
Yeah. And it was already in my review queue for this week, actually.
Perfect. Thank you, Amat. Next we got AJ. You've got follow-up and update on node readiness gates. Anything you want to add here?
Yes, thanks. Could you please give me share permissions? I'd be able to.
Yeah, hang on. I'm gonna just make you a co-host, and that should give you the permissions.
Okay.
All right, go for it. Let me stop sharing. Okay,
All right.
all yours.
All right, thank you. Hope you folks are able to see my screen. I don't know if I'm sharing the right screen. Let me share this again. Sorry for that. All right. I think that like I established the general idea and the flow the last SIG storage meeting. We also discussed the use cases where node readiness gates could help storage, especially like on standardizing the readiness reporting from within the plugin, and the use cases where scheduler and CA needs to be aware of storage state before assigning pods or like making decisions or scaling up. There were discussions like one I presented last week was on achieving this with a scheduling filter plugin. This would be a parallel mechanism similar to how taints and tolerations are today, but for a different angle, basically like focusing on whether the components are ready, whether the storage components or plugins are ready to determine whether schedulable or unschedulable. Been discussing with SIG scheduling further on this. We have been moving towards option B, where readiness gates could be achieved on top of the existing taint and toleration mechanism. I want to like circulate this idea of SIG storage, and I think that like the effective end result would still be the same. Just the how we achieve this in design would be different. The idea is that the readiness gate, if marked for a particular storage component, would be translated and realized as a taint at the control plane. So this would enable adding like a bypassing mechanisms like tolerations on the workload. This would mean that specific storage pods that doesn't need storage, specific pods that doesn't need storage, or other different storage dependencies could still be able to override this and layer on the node. I think that like this achieves a balance. This, I think that should work for the use cases in storage as well. I wanted to bring that idea, and I think that like we didn't discuss in detail about the component integration mechanism. We discussed at the document on how like a node registrar, plugin registrar could report the readiness once the plugin is initialized. I think they also had a comment from SIG storage that like this can need to be done only at the initialization stage, and it doesn't need to be watched for continuous like a plugin health for SIG storage use cases. I think that would make sense to me, but I think that like if there is a different need, maybe we could discuss further on expanding this. This would be needed for other use cases where like device driver or other things like need to be followed upon, or like component upgrade need to be followed upon. But I think that SIG storage, it would make sense to keep it only at the initialization stage. I just wanted to focus on like the two things on how this can be achieved. I'm imagining something like a standardized library that SIG node would own for giving an API like update node condition. Oops, sorry.
So, Ajay, like initially when I saw the review, the proposal, not all readiness gates might apply the taint to the node. Now it seems like you're leaning towards that this will be implemented via taint.
Right. It's just that like it would be implicit taints. The reason I hear is that like it would give like a advantage of having run levels at the node. Not all of the pods need to be blocked at the same time. So that's the interest of SIG scheduling. I think that we should also consider, because like not all of the workloads need to be blocked at the same time. And again, this doesn't, we are still discussing if this needs to be a granular taint. It can just be single taint that reflects the readiness states or ready or pending. That's an option. I think like I'm still discussing with SIG scheduling. I'm just like trying to understand if this would work for scheduling as well.
So,
storage as well.
but isn't that basically not backward compatible? Like a CSI driver that currently doesn't tolerate the taint will not be able to come up once this thing is implemented, or it has to all the deployment has to be updated to tolerate those taints basically.
Right. I think that like there is a proposal. My consideration earlier was to not include daemon sets at all. Daemon sets are the installations that need to happen on all the nodes. They should cover that. I'm thinking if this needs to be relaxed, or just daemon sets would still work. I agree that like removing the daemon sets criteria would make it like a backward compatibility breakage, because like the plugins are established over daemon sets today, and they need to be able to be deployed on the node. But would enabling this for all the daemon sets would work? Would that just address a concern?
Maybe. I'm not sure, like if all the plugins are like, I mean, in our case, yeah, we know all the plugins that run on the node that typically run as daemon sets. Hopefully that's the case for everyone, but it does have this backward compatibility issues. I don't know what Jan and Michelle think about this. Yeah. So it should work if we just exclude the daemon set from this restriction, but yeah. But I'm not sure how people or other people are deploying their plugins.
Got it. I'll keep that in mind.
But
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, right now, we schedule too many pods to a single node, even though those that need volumes and the driver is not there. With the taints, we will stop scheduling anything to the node unless it tolerates the taint. I think both approaches are not good. I think pods that don't require any storage should run right away without any tolerations or anything. There doesn't need to be any explicit action on the pod.
I think that if I understand your thoughts correctly, before the plugins are ready for the pods that need storage, they should not be scheduled to the node. But that's what would readiness gates protects, right?
But it will also not schedule any other pod that doesn't tolerate the taint. If I have a pod that doesn't need any storage, will it run?
If it has the toleration, if achieved with option B, it would still admitted on the node. And since it doesn't have a storage requirements, if there are no other readiness gates that are blocking it, it would run, right? I mean, imagining a whole network of pods that doesn't have other
the vast majority of pods don't need any storage.
Mm-hmm.
And now we will need to add tolerations to those pods to be able to run them without CSI drivers. That sounds pretty straight.
Got it. I think that there are two aspects we are discussing here. First is the storage plugin reporting their readiness. The second is the admin choosing to gate or not. For nodes where, for example, database providers are where storage is considered like an infrastructure readiness, it makes sense to add a storage gate for that. I mean, we have customers that would benefit from that. But again, should it be done always? I think that it's up to the admin or the infra admin to decide what should gate the workload pods or not.
I'd like to go back to the original problem. I think we may have discussed this 2 weeks ago, and I was thinking about what we're trying to solve. Well, we're still trying to solve the basic problem that if you have a CSI plugin with that can only support a certain number of volumes per node, that number doesn't get set until after the node has been running for some time, and it's possible that the scheduler schedules a bunch of pods that need storage to that node, and right, that's the problem we're trying to solve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Couldn't we just solve this problem by ensuring that number gets initialized to 0 when the node is created, and then after whatever initialization is done, it increases from 0 to the real number, and rely on the fact that the scheduler is looking at that number to prevent pods from going to that node that shouldn't be there? I'm just thinking an entirely different solution that doesn't involve taints feels like the right way to address this, right? Because the fundamental problem is you don't know what the limit is until the CSI plugin starts running. So what you would like to happen is for the default to be 0 until the number gets populated. Can we do something like that? And if we could, would it solve the problem?
I think what's already I mean, I agree that for storage use cases, initializing it some other way, having initializing it a template or pausing that detail, I mean, it's still achievable. I think that what we are looking at is standardizing from the node point of view, exposing readiness, and if that is inherent need in storage, for use case there's inherent need in storage, it would help. And the volume initialization is one of those use cases. And readiness, we want to see that not just for scheduling, readiness, but also I think that we discussed last week was the CSI awareness on CA. It should decide whether the volume is initialized and whether further scaling up is necessary. So when does it decide that? We need a signal from the node saying this has been completed or done, right? Otherwise, you would be doing this on every component that would need to be subscribed on. What is the state of the plugin? Right now, there is no state that is exposed from the plugin, right?
So also again, Ben, to answer the question, the same thing. Like we cannot in schedulers as like use the zero value if the CSS driver is not installed on the node without breaking cluster autoscaler.
Why not? I mean, I'm not saying like have the scheduler default to 0. I'm saying like have some sort of an admission mutating webhook that would initialize the value to 0 on the actual node when it gets created.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, if it like like the admission hooks puts it at 0, I think the end result will be the same when cluster autoscaler will evaluate a newly spun node. It will see that this pod that it has just created to fit this node that it has just created to fit this pod cannot run this pod because the node has 0 limit actually. So yeah.
So what will it do? It'll create another node and another node and another node, and that's the failure mode.
No, the failure mode is it won't create any node.
And by leaving off the limit entirely, why does it succeed? Is it because it assumes that no limit means infinity, and therefore, okay.
Current behavior. We have a proposal out to actually make autoscaler aware of the real limits.
Okay, yeah, I mean, something like that feels like it will end up being more backwards compatible with existing approaches. Because yeah, anything that involves making something that currently works stop working is not good, and it feels like all the other approaches have that flavor that they'll block stuff that works right now, and this strange behavior feels very specific to the autoscaler, and so the solution should go into the autoscaler probably.
I'll take a note of that, Ben. I'd want to ensure that like the concerns about backward compatibility are sufficiently addressed at the KEP. I'll make sure that I'll discuss that further, and this is addressed. Like existing storage deployment scenario shouldn't be broken with this new node readiness features introduced. That I completely agree with you.
Well, and existing non-storage workloads, right? Also,
right.
Unless our notion of node not ready is just a giant Boolean that should block everything, whether it needs storage or not. Otherwise, you end up with a very fine-grained notion of node readiness. Like, well, this node is ready for non-storage workloads, but it's not ready for storage workloads. And you can imagine that splintering 1,000 ways with all the other readiness gates. You don't want to play that game, because today it's just either the node is there or not, and the scheduler will schedule there or not.
Right.
It doesn't have a fine-grained understanding of what can run where.
Correct. I just wanted to also share like another aspect. This was also proposed, but it's like a future point, because like there were other kept in or like thoughts in SIG node that's exploring this idea. So something that's in the future, like what we want to target first for 1.34 is like immediately that expressiveness from node, and having that like binary state, like extensible ready signal from the node. That's what we are targeting. But what you're describing is like more leveled readiness, where like pod would be able to specifying requirements or like matching like having like run levels at the node. I think that that would be follow-ups that would need node readiness gates as building blocks. The core API needs to be established on how like admin could declare what is ready on the node, or how to determine the node is ready, other than relying on the simplified ready signal today. This aims to achieve that. Further use case or improvements, as you suggest, I think that would definitely be need to be considered, and I think that we would need to follow up on that as improvements on like understanding more use cases.
I mean, something like that sounds great, but I don't understand how you get backwards compatibility, because you've got millions of YAML, I mean, millions of application manifests that don't understand any of this, that just, are going to create an application. And like that needs to continue to work in a world where you have all this extra sophisticated information. So I'm scratching my head about like how do you make the system smarter without breaking everything that just works today?
Isn't that like an opt-in today? Like an admin who would want to specify a gate that he need to consider for that node, in additional to the existing ready, would onboard that node. Basically, like
opt-in has to be the way it works, and I don't see it, but maybe that's a limitation of my imagination.
So even if this is opt-in, like say something like OpenShift has decided that okay, it needs this readiness gates, but there are third-party drivers that customers install on these nodes, like or other things customers run on these nodes, which may
it would have to be per workload opt-in, not per cluster opt-in.
Yeah, which doesn't have this toleration, so those won't be able to run unless they add the toleration.
Right, but if the CSP provider maybe like wants to install a security agent that needs to be installed before like another for the driver or anything that may be laid on top of it, then the infra provider has a say on when the SLO, like when this is ready for the layering, right? I think that like it would make sense if the CSA driver would want to establish like further gates later, but I think that like the fundamental infrastructure readiness need to be by the infrastructure provider, and that shouldn't include like an application readiness or that would be now provided by third party on top. Is that considered? Like, what are your thoughts about that? I think that like in its current shape, like what we are targeting is only that fundamental infrastructure readiness. Network is one of them definitely, because like without that, like pod network is not ready and the service is not able to get that network identity to communicate with each other. We also think that like storage is seemed fundamental to many of our deployments, is seen as like infra signal, and that's where I think that like node readiness gates could be useful. I agree that like this will not apply like ubiquitously to all of the storage plugin use cases. I'm not imagining like all the storage plugins would need to add that gate. I think that like it's use case specific or the provided scenario specific.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely I will explore this backward compatibility options further, and will maybe like circle back on like more updates with like how these specific use cases could further be refined.
Saad, do you have any more topics on the agenda?
We don't have anything else. Saad said he has a job, so are we done with this one? So Ajay, you want to come back, or you want to just do the reviews on the cap?
Yeah, definitely, Zing. I'll take further reviews on the cap, and I think that like I think like Ben and Hemant are already left some comments at the doc. I would follow further on the doc or take discussion further.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have for today.
Actually, sorry, Jing, I did have one quick topic.
Okay.
So currently in the agenda, we are not tracking the mutable CSI
Oh,
allocated.
is that, did we miss? Please add, okay. Did we miss? I don't know whether that one is not there. Please
Yes.
add it back. So are you want to move that? But I think we just added that, right, in 1.33. So I think we usually need to wait before we move that. You want to move that to beta? Is that what you are
Yes.
looking for?
So in the enhancement, we're currently
I think it's crossed out, right? That's it. It's there. It's just crossed out. Mutable
Yes.
CSI node. Okay, I think that's because we usually want to wait for, I think, at least one release.
I mean,
Right.
that's not a requirement.
Okay, so are we thinking this one is okay? This is like
If
low risk?
If we think it's a low risk thing, I think we can do it.
Okay. Yeah, this one might be a small change. If nobody has problems, we can target it. So I can, yeah. So I believe last time we said check with Eddie.
Yeah,
So,
so
all right. So you want
we
to move
won't,
it?
yeah, so we won't be making any changes to the implementation. I think we hashed that out. So for the beta requirements, it's basically code coverage, primarily, which I have cycles to pick up.
Okay.
But if we want to target 135, that's completely okay. I will be working on adding the code coverage and end-to-end testing over the coming week. And I think
Okay.
there's already a PR out that Heyman reviewed, so I'm working on through that.
Okay, so that's fine. We can target it then. If if nobody have any
Okay.
objections, that's fine. I just uncrossed it out. So now, yeah, I can add those labels, the code labels for this one to move to beta.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So if there is, if anyone have anything else you want to target 1.34, please let one of the leads know so we can get it added. Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you. Bye.